This is 21 Questions. It's a trivia podcast hosted by me. My name is Mike van Acker. I run a trivia company called Trivia Tribe. For the past 22 years, I've done thousands of trivia shows in pubs and clubs around the place. Now I'm in your phone, on your tablet, in your PC, on your MacBook with this podcast. I'm glad you're here. Let's get started. Question 1. Who was British Prime Minister from 1979 to 1990? That's the Iron Lady herself, Margaret Thatcher, played by Meryl Streep in a movie of that name. Question 2. Music. From which country did the music group ABBA come from? Det var Swedish, yeah. Am I going to get in trouble for that accent? I might. There was a time when you could just do an accent and it would just be fun, but now people go, oh, that's racist. I don't think it is it? Like, is a Swedish chef from the Muppets with his moik, moik, I guess possibly inherently racist. And yet here we are. Has the world gone slightly mad? I think perhaps it has. Question 3. Here comes another accent. I'm in so much trouble for this episode already. Is a bichon frise a type of hat, a type of shoe, or a type of dog? A bichon frise. Bichon frise is a dog, and I wasn't sure about the pronunciation of that. So I went to that guy, you know, the guy on YouTube. Hello, today we are going to pronounce. And then he pronounces the word for you, but it's very slow and you've got to sit through ads and stuff. Anyway, I did that for you because I wanted to get it right. And he comes on and he goes, hello, today we are talking about how to pronounce the dog breed Bichon frise. In French, we would say Bichon frise, but in English, it would be pronounced Bichon frise. I thought you're just having a go here, mate, aren't you, champ? I mean, good on you for trying to get people to watch your channel for as long as possible. By the way, I have a YouTube channel. You can listen to this podcast on YouTube Audio Podcast. End of ad. Question 4 is always a true or false on this podcast. Here we go. True or false? The longest mountain range in the world is the Rocky Mountains in North America. Is that true? Is that false? That is false. No, it's the Andes Mountain in South America that is the longest mountain range in the world. We're talking a difference of 7,000 kilometres versus 4,800 kilometres for the Rockies. Question 5. If octuplets is the term for having 8 children in one birth, what's the term for 10? It's decuplets, and I believe it has never been done, and my commiserations to the parents if indeed it has been. Question 6, we're talking classic movies. In the 1944 movie National Velvet, starring Mickey Rooney and Elizabeth Taylor, is the Velvet mentioned in the title the name of the girl, played by Elizabeth Taylor, or the horse, not played by Mickey Rooney? Velvet was the name of the girl. The horse's name was the Pie. I'm not even kidding. That's putting a fair amount of pressure on the horse to perform, isn't it? Anyway, question 7. Which country has, per capita, the most vending machines in the world? By a very long way, it's Japan. You can get almost anything from a vending machine in Japan. After question 7, we do the first clues for the Who Am I for this particular episode. Today, it's a person. Who am I? I was born in New Zealand, but my family moved to a small town on the outskirts of Brisbane when I was just 2 years old, and Australia claimed me as its own pretty quickly. Certainly by the time he'd become successful, he's absolutely ours. I quit school at 15 to pursue music full-time, playing pub gigs and talent shows around Queensland before anyone outside the state had even heard of me. Fun fact, that's where I first met this guy. He doesn't remember me, but I remember him. Question 8. It starts with G. It's a 5-day music festival held in Somerset, in England, in June of each year. What festival is that? Starts with G. That would be Glastonbury, and Glastonbury is kind of interesting. It's the biggest music festival in the UK. It's one of the biggest ones in the world. It was first held in 1970. Mark Bolan's T-Rex was the headline act, filling in, I think, for the Kinks. Entry was £1, but you did get free milk. I'm not even kidding, because I've been to festivals, and let me tell you, you know what the young people want? They want milk. It's not on this year because every 5 years they take a break to let the land that the festival is held on have a little breather. Good on them. Question 9. In the James Bond movies, how many times does James Bond get legally married? Is it 0? Is it 1? Is it 2? Okay, so this one is not as straightforward as you might think, because whilst James Bond, across his official movies, does participate in 2 weddings, one of them's not real. He's like in an undercover type scenario, and that's in You Only Live Twice. But in Her Majesty's Secret Service, he marries a lady called Tracy for real. So the answer is 1. Question 10. Are there closest to 30, 40, or 50 countries in Africa? There are closest to 50 countries in Africa. It depends on how you count them. If you include the island nations offshore from the main continent itself, the number is 54. It does change from time to time with the geopolitical situation over there, but it's 54 right now. Question 11 is another true or false. True or false, Daniel Radcliffe stars as Harry Potter in 8 movies. Yes, he does. That's true. Question 12 is a music question. Which song was originally a hit for the Drifters in 1964, John Mellencamp in 1986, and is on the soundtrack for the 1988 movie Beaches, where the song is sung by Bette Midler? That would be Under the Boardwalk. Question 13, it's a maths question. How many prime numbers are there between the numbers 6 and 10? Prime number, of course, divisible only by 1 and itself, and there is one prime number between 6 and 10, and it is number 7. Question 14. Which European country introduced the Old Age and Disability Insurance Bill way back in 1889, effectively becoming the first country to introduce the old age pension? Was that Germany? Was that France? Was that Norway? That's Germany. Germany introduced and invented, I guess you'd say, the old age pension. More clues now for the Who Am I. If you remember, it's the New Zealander, moved to Australia, quit school to become a musician. Who am I? By my early 20s, I'd released a debut album and scored 4 number 1s on the Australian country music charts, but my dream was always Nashville, and in 1992 I packed up and moved there all alone. I've said at that time Nashville nearly broke me. I knew no one, and my roommate introduced me to freebasing cocaine. As I told Rolling Stone later, I'd never been around anything like that in Australia. I developed a serious addiction to cocaine and alcohol and checked into rehab for the first time in 1998 and went on to relapse several more times before finally getting sober for good in 2006. Have you worked out who that is yet? Doesn't matter if you haven't, there's more clues coming after question 20. For now though, question 15, is an anaconda venomous or non-venomous? An anaconda is non-venomous. It's the type of snake that just gives you a big cuddle until you can't breathe anymore. Doesn't sound fun. The anaconda is non-venomous. Question 16, bit of hardcore geography for you. What country is Tripoli the capital city of? Tripoli is the capital city of Libya. Question 17, what is Charlie's surname in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? They're getting a little bit harder and a little bit more obscure because we're getting towards the end of this particular set of questions. Charlie's surname in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is Bucket. He's Charlie Bucket. Now, the little boy who played Charlie in the movie went on to be a vet. Don't think he ever acted again, but he certainly went on to become a vet. And by that I mean veterinarian, not a person who was in the army. Question 18. In the TV show Magnum P.I., what was the name of Thomas Magnum's English companion? He was kind of his assistant, kind of his butler, but also bossed him around a little bit. Was it Higgins? Was it Harold? Was it Hopkins? It was Higgins. His full name was Jonathan Quayle Higgins III. There you go. Question 19. Still alive or not so much? I give you a name, you tell me if you think they're still alive or not so much. Today, John Hillerman, who of course played Higgins in Magnum that we talked about in the last question. Is John Hillerman still alive or not so much? John Hillerman, he's dead. He died in 2017. Fun fact, when they remade Magnum a few years ago, the role of Higgins was replaced by a female character. She may have been called Higgins as well, but she's a woman in the remake. Question 20 is a music question. According to a hit song by the Buggles in 1979, who or what did Video kill? Video killed the radio star, and I'm avoiding the temptation to sing at you. I haven't so far this episode, and I think it'd be good if I didn't. Okay, final clues now for the Who Am I? Who am I? I went on to win 4 Grammy Awards. I've had 20 #1 hits on the American country music charts, and I became one of the judges on American Idol and a judge or a mentor on the Australian version of The Voice. My personal life made as many headlines as my music. I married one of Australia's most celebrated actresses, although we have separated in the past 12 months or so. I'm known for the songs Blue Ain't Your Colour, Good Things, and Messed Up As Me. I am, of course, Keith Urban. I've met Keith Urban a couple of times. I got to interview him on the radio. I've seen him live. He's a very interesting guy. He grew up around Caboolture, and one of my company's live shows that I host each week, actually, is every Tuesday at a venue in Caboolture. And when I interviewed Keith the last time, I told him about that gig, and I told him that of my 110 players that come and play there, 90 of them claim to have lived next door to him at some point or another. Keith Urban, he was a nice man when I met him. Okay, that's the 21 questions that it says on the label we're going to ask you, but we do player questions on this podcast now, and last week the player question came from Glennis from Victoria Point, who asked the question, which is the world's oldest currency in use since before 1066? That's quite a long time ago, and Glennis tells me, and I agree with her, that the world's oldest currency is in fact the British pound, the pound sterling. It's that old. Who knew? I'll tell you who knew. Google did when I Googled it a couple of minutes ago. This episode, Helen from Maroochydore. Maroochydore is on the Sunshine Coast in Queensland, and it is beautiful up there. If you're listening from far-flung places around the world, and I do have a lot of listeners from some random countries now. I've got listeners in Nigeria. Hello, Nigerian people. I've got listeners in Cyprus, in Norway, France, America, England, lots of those. Anyway, you're all very welcome, and especially can I encourage you to visit Queensland and go to Maroochydore. It's beautiful there, and if you do go, come to my gig on Monday night at the Maroochydore RSL. Anyway, this episode, Helen from Maroochydore asked the question, what are the dots on a dice called? You know, the little individual dots? They've got a name. What are they called? They are called... Well, I'm not going to tell you, actually. I'll tell you next week. I will tell you next week. How's that for a bit of sizzle? Oh, it's exciting, isn't it? Okay, that wraps up all the questions I'm going to ask you this particular episode of 21 questions. But if you'd like to submit a question like Glennis and Helen did, send it to me via Facebook. I've got a Facebook page. It's called 21 Questions by Trivia Tribe. And if you send me a question, I will ask it. I'm going to make an announcement next episode about something I've got planned coming up soon, where I'm going to need a whole bunch of player questions for something I've got planned coming up. Tell you about it next episode. This podcast comes out every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday, and I hope you'll come back and play some trivia with me at that time. Thank you for listening. I love you. Catch you next time. I'm Mike. Bye.